Is about, I'll give you a lot of other details, is that the process is that you open the quad, and the quad is this joint, but we use the quad to indicate all the joints. Right? And when you don't move, it does not mean you don't move, it means when you open the door hinge does not move. So because the door hinge does not move, it allows the door to open in that particular. But some of these things I summarized based on what I learned from him, because he was a traditionalist, a very learned person, but he wasn't a scientist. I'm not a scientist, but I received a Western education. I analyze everything according to what makes sense. If it does not make sense, maybe the sense or the logic they don't exist. And whatever we think the existence is the opposite of what the reality is. So this is a guiding principle of Taoism. So like this here, this is the logic, but in reality it works the opposite. Meaning, only if you don't move, you start to be able to rotate. Only when you are is a joint. When you talk about the joint, and you are talking about actually what we do in Tai Chi to achieve what we want to do. But the nature is that we're always talking about movement and rotation. And it's a principle of Tai Chi. But this also we have to recognize that this is the only thing we cannot achieve. So we can do any technique we want. So rotate, not possible. Now you understand the contradiction. So you must know what it is, and then you must work towards it. So to rotate is the same as for us to immediately become strange. So this is another point about the practical method. The practical method requires that you must use a physical object to learn Tai Chi. Whenever you use your own body, you start thinking, my body is better than your body. You start thinking, my movement, no matter how, is better than yours. Because we are very, very so personal. I must make sure this never moves any other way. While this happens, I have to separate my body into two pieces. The top can only do this. So watch here. As this does this here, the bottom goes like this. So I go like this, 1, 2, 3, it touches him. The top, if you only videotape the top, there was no change. It only does this. There is no extension, there is no movement. But the movement I'm talking about this is the happiness and all these things that you cannot determine. It immediately, as I said, takes the human aspect out of Tai Chi. The human aspect is that there is no, when you fight, although our human aspect is very similar to when you watch people fighting, even either boxing or martial art. I was going to say last century. Last century is true. Last century is not right. Of the 19th century and of the 18th, I guess. 18th and until the beginning around 1930. So from 18-something, standing there guarding them, but themselves did Tai Chi. Because they were still afraid if the guards wanted to attack them, they had to know something better than what the guards knew. So that was the nature of Tai Chi. So today,